Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Ting and Ting and Ting. Back with some more vibe for all you. Yes, I. A couple of days ago we had some snow here. I'm telling you, I'm fed up with this cold weather, man. Woo! I've lived in Michigan, I've lived in New York, I've lived in colder places than this, but for some reason this year, this cold weather, no, I man need the beach again. I need some warmth. I need to sit on the ocean and drink some passion fruit juice, you know what I mean? And ting, that ice just tingling in the glass, glistening in the sunset. Well, I'm just daydreaming now. Anyway, somebody suggested that I watch this here. Apparently, it's a series of it. This is the number one of it. It's called The Bronze Age Collapse Before the Storm. Extra History. Number one. So, I'm gonna go ahead and watch it once again, man. Thanks all for the comments. Keep it coming. Suggest stuff you want me to watch. I don't usually watch political stuff. If it's politically charged, I'm into the history stuff. I'm into getting to know each other stuff. I'm into the cultural stuff. Hit me up with the cultural stuff. Stuff. If you have stuff about your history, hit me up about the people, cause that's what I love people, man. Especially the different than me. I want to know about them, about their culture and stuff like that. So we got this medium here. Let's use it to get to know each other instead of using it to fight each other. Seems that that's all we do these days. We just use this YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. Everybody's got a beef and everybody's come on now. Let's chill out and enjoy each other. Can we do that? I know a lot of people are doing it, but it needs to be promoted more. We got YouTube. Let's do it. Let's YouTube and simmer and learn some stuff. You know the past, you're going to know where you're going.
Giant cities, thriving civilizations, literacy, art, trade, wonders, temples, and palaces. Then nothing but cinder and ash.
Oh. So how did you collapse?
The Bronze Age collapse is one of history's greatest mysteries. All along the crescent, from modern-day Egypt to Greece, there once existed spectacular ancient civilizations. Civilizations that had lasted thousands of years, that built wonders like the Great Pyramids and the palace complex at Knossos. Then, after just a few decades, all of it was reduced to rubble. Between the years of 1200 and 1150 BCE, archaeologists found city after city burned, leveled to the ground. After thousands of years of thriving growth and prosperity, almost every major Bronze Age civilization...
Could you imagine how much art got destroyed there? How much stuff that we could probably learn from that civilization that they destroyed? See, we go in and we destroy each other's stuff, not realizing that there's stuff that we could probably learn that's going to help all of us. Reduce the rubble. Let's say why. Let's see if there's a war or something.
Civilization collapsed in less than the span of a single human lifetime. And what followed was perhaps the darkest age in history. International trade disappears. Pottery becomes primitive, a throwback to an earlier age. Construction of great monuments and temples ceases entirely. Centralized government vanishes. Certain skills and trades simply cease to be practiced. And perhaps most painful of all for us as students of history, the written word becomes almost extinct. In some areas, the ability to read and write appears to die out completely. In others, a few people desperately clung to the ancient art. That's what makes this period such a mystery. Because of the shrinking societies, the abandonment of cities and towns, the lack of royal decrees or record keeping, and the decline in buildings constructed out of permanent material like stone, no one really actually knows why Bronze Age civilization collapsed. So this series will be an overview of this mystery, a discussion of everything that we do know, and then some conjecture. Let's start by setting the scene, and for that, you must first know the players. It's roughly 1200 BCE. A number of kingdoms, city-states, and proto-empires have sprung up in eastern North Africa, the Middle East, Anatolia, Greece, and the islands of the Aegean Sea. Starting from the south and working our way north, we first have Egypt. Egypt was the great power of the late Bronze Age world, with wealth and sophistication surpassing anything that the other empires could achieve.
Once
This
a
is not to say
superpower,
that the
huh?
other empires were poor. There's quite a lot of evidence that, at least materially, people in this age were better off basically than every other era until the classical period. But Egypt was out there on top. Let's talk about their advantages. First off, the Nile. We may think of Egypt as a desert region today, but for most of ancient history, it was one of the most fertile places in the world. Why? Because the Nile is an incredibly predictable river. It floods regularly in a way that a society living off of irrigation can take enormous advantage of. And the flooding of the Nile didn't merely help irrigate the crops, it kept the soil rich and fertile, bringing in minerals and nutrients that
See, back then they worked with nature because agriculture was the main source, I guess, of trade and stuff like that. So they work with nature. Nowadays, we just destroy everything and put stuff down.
Sustained agriculture would usually deplete in any other environment. So Egypt had an abundance of food in a time when most of humanity spent the majority of its days simply trying to produce enough food to survive. This allowed Egypt to engage in long-distance commerce, create a strong military with a hereditary caste of warrior charioteers, and develop complex social and political mechanisms like a strong centralized bureaucracy and a highly developed religion. Not to mention build things like giant pyramids and sphinxes and sprawling temples. Egypt also benefited from the Nile as a highway. While the Nile cataracts forced merchants and travelers to switch boats or drag craft over land for a ways, the fact that almost all of Egyptian civilization existed along this river was a massive boon for communication, internal trade, even the movement of troops. Oh, and Egypt had one other thing: gold. In the south, the conquered Nubian kingdom of Kush was an unimaginable source of gold. No other Bronze Age kingdom had access to this quantity of gold wealth. Gold and artifacts from Egypt were prized around the ancient world. With this wealth, the Egyptians had expanded well past its modern-day borders. Egypt controlled, either directly or indirectly, much of the territory along the Mediterranean coast, from Sinai to Anatolia, which of course put them into conflict with the Hittites. By the time of our story, the Hittites control most of Anatolia. They were a powerful militaristic society whose empire was built on the back of two economic advantages: tin and copper, the elements of bronze. Copper they had in abundance from mines on the island of Cyprus, the only truly major
It all
source
comes
of
down
copper
to that,
throughout the
doesn't
Near
it? The
East.
natural
It became
resources.
a staple of Hittite trade. And then there's tin. Tin is actually shockingly rare here on Earth. It's not like iron or even copper. It's a lot closer to uranium in scarcity. Moreover, it's not evenly distributed, so oddly enough, there was almost no tin to be found where Bronze Age civilizations cropped up. Recent archaeological evidence shows that the Hittites had some production facilities for tin at Kestel in the Taurus Mountains, which, if true, may well have been the only tin production in the entire region. But this source, coupled with the Hittite ability to import both from the east through the Assyrians and from the west via trade routes coming through Europe, meant that they could help sustain hunger for tin throughout the Bronze Age world. This also put them in the crosshairs of basically everybody, and they had to fight continuously to keep their trade routes open. They were one of the few powers that could go toe-to-toe with the Egyptians, and in fact, the oldest written peace treaty we have is from shortly before the collapse, in which these two superpowers agreed to stop trying to tear each other apart. Why the ceasefire?
Too little, too late. They're so busy fighting and destroying everything around them. At least that's my conclusion of the situation. You know, they're fighting so much they destroy everything around them because everything around them become pawns in it. You know what I mean? And especially back then, let's block food to this region because they are siding with this person. Well, it's kind of like the trade embargoes now.
Fire though. Well, perhaps because they were both feeling pressure from another empire, the Assyrians. Maybe because they were located further east, away from the coasts, or perhaps due to some other combination of military prowess, political cohesion, and luck, the Assyrians would outlast these other empires for 100 years before their own decline, meaning that they won't play too direct a role in our story. If anything, they serve as a foil, a counterbalance, an antagonizing force that'll keep the pressure on some of these other empires at a time where they can stand it the least. What the Assyrian Empire lacked was open trade ports on the Mediterranean coast, so they would be drawn to push westward into the Hittite Empire and the Egyptian tributary states of the Levant whenever they think these empires are too weak to resist them. Which leaves us with just one other people, the Mycenaeans. These were the Proto-Greeks. They ruled from most of southern Greece to the island of Crete. They were seafarers, instrumental in the vast trading network that extended throughout the Bronze Age world.
Yeah,
they were also the industrial center for much of the ancient world, importing raw goods and then exporting finished products, built through a complex top-down system of industry. They were renowned for their Cyclopean fortifications and palaces which served as manufacturing centers, political hubs, and redoubts. They were masters of complex engineering and builders of great roads. They were also spectacular artists. Even the Egyptians would sometimes hire or emulate them. But they, like all the rest, would fall. Join us next time as we discuss the technology, social structure, and politics that make these societies possible, but might also set them up for collapse.
Okay, man. I'm gonna have to watch this series, man. Wow. You know what I mean? And all those empires. And like I said, man, it's always for the same thing. It's for the natural resources. This new world was founded because they were searching for trade routes so they could get the natural resources from places. You understand what I say? We just want to take stuff from each other. But we take stuff from each other. But we still don't share it with our own people, because if you go to those societies, they're probably going to find it pretty much like it is here. A whole lot of people, a few people rich and a whole lot of people poor people. So they don't even share it. And it's quite evident they don't share it in history neither. Because like you said, while Egypt was booming and doing great and seemed to be living this opulent lifestyle, other places were struggling to find food to eat. There's a pattern there, which I know people know the pattern is there and thing, you know what I mean? But I'm just babbling. Thank you all for watching this with me and thing. You know, I'm going to put a link in the description to this video. Go check out this channel. It's quite evident that they have some good series going on over there. So you can go over there and check that vibe out. But, you know, before you go over there, do some binge watching on my stuff. You know, and like and comment. Tell me what you know. Give me some ideas of what you want to react to, and you know, you guys know what to do by now. I ain't going deep into the political stuff. No, not after what I've just been through the last 4 years here. You mentioned politics and boom. I'm not doing that. We're gonna talk about people, culture, and history. That's the vibe, all right. Man, go ahead in there. Take care of each other, all right? Cool runnings. I just spoke some babbly stuff there. I don't know what that is. I hope you guys understood it. Take care.